What is up, everybody? We're back again with another interesting video today. You already know what it is. You know what it do. You already know what it do. You feel me? We are back like we never left. It's a big video today. You already know. So the reason why I say it's a big video today because we got a lot to talk about as far as the conference finals, 40 Final Four between OKC versus Minnesota, and then you had Pacers versus the Knicks, right? So I'm gonna break it down step by step, and then we're going to jump into the final two between Pacers and OKC for the NBA Finals, which will start June 5th, and it will, but before we get into the video, I will be doing the exact same thing as I did for the whole playoff run and the conference finals. I will do the same thing for the playoffs, not playoffs. I mean the NBA Finals. I'll do the same thing, and at the end of the NBA season and the finals, I will do a special video just for you guys. I will speak on the awards. I was supposed to do that way before. I was supposed to have a special guest come on the show to do that with, but apparently he couldn't come on the show with me, but it's fine. Stay tuned for that. I'm trying to get a few guests on the show, so hopefully we can get that carried away. But I should be having my co-hosts come on, both of them, shortly. If not, I don't mind carrying on the show just me, but this intro is getting too long, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut this short. But it's been Baptist Knowledge. I'm your host, Aramis, and let's get right into this video, bro. All right, ladies and gentlemen. It has been a heck of a season. I'm not gonna lie. It's been a heck of a season. But I'm gonna tell you this. I had fun watching this season. This was probably one of my best seasons I've seen so far as the NBA. And probably the best finals. I'm probably the best playoffs I've seen. Same team, same task. Same old everything. People expect LA to make it. Whole bunch of trades happened. Whole bunch of everything just happened. You had the Dallas and LA trade that happened. You had the De'Aaron Fox. You had the San Antonio and Sacramento trade happened. You had the Golden State trade happened. You had you had a few trades happen along the season, this whole 2025. So it has been a ball. It has been crazy, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the NBA playoffs so far, but it's going to become to an end. So if you guys are ready for 2026, because I know there's gonna be a lot of things going on as far as the Giannis trade, the Kevin Durant trade, everything. We still have no clue of whether or not my Golden State Warriors are going to keep Kuminga or get rid of him and get another big. I don't know. Kristaps Porzingis is about to get traded away. Holiday is looking to get traded away. Dallas Mavericks don't have Kyrie anymore because he's hurt. So they're looking to fill in that gap with either Lonzo Ball, Chris Paul, or Drew Holiday. Maybe he could team up with Anthony Davis. Maybe have a little reunion. You never know. KD. I was hearing some interesting stuff about that where he may go to the Spurs. if he go to the Spurs, man, that's a done deal. You got 2 7-footers on one team plus De'Aaron Fox. That's a big three right there. I can see that, but I doubt that'll happen. What's another one? Giannis Antetokounmpo. Darvin Ham is probably looking to keep Giannis there. If not, then he could possibly leave and go somewhere else. Teams that he may go to would probably be the Warriors, the New York Knicks, LA, and then I believe there was another team. But I also know that the Dallas Mavericks have a number 1 draft pick and the Spurs are behind them. So we all know Cooper Flag is by far the best in the draft class. So he's the number 1 draft pick out of Duke University. I hope Dallas doesn't mess this up. If they don't get Cooper Flag, San Antonio can get Cooper Flag. And it is going to be Cooper Flag, Wemby, De'Aaron Fox, and if KD goes to the Spurs, that's a big if. If he goes to Spurs, Spurs are going back to the final, are going back to the playoffs, and then they're back in the playoff run for since what 2010, since the 2000s. You know, since they had Tim Duncan, Mr. Big Fundamentals, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, Kawhi Leonard, and then they got Paul Gasol, the brother of the other Paul Gasol. I truly am looking forward for the offseason. There's going to be a lot of content. There's going to be a lot of live videos. I will be changing some things up as far as us doing the podcast with my co-host. So last year, I think I did mine's Mondays and Wednesdays, and then we won't do Sundays. But I'll try to squeeze in, some more time for my podcast a little bit. We'll try to switch it up a little bit. If you guys like these changes, let me know in the comments below. But I want to start with OKC in Minnesota. I had Minnesota. If you watch my recent live video, I think it was either recording or a live video. If you watch that last video where we discussed who will win out of the 4 series of the conference finals out of Minnesota, OKC, Pacers, and Knicks, I had Minnesota winning in 7. I had Knicks winning either 6 or 7. Now, we all know there were going to be a lot of upsets, maybe a few ups and downs, and I'm going to break down the ups and downs and the upsets. So we'll go with Minnesota because I said I want to start with Minnesota. So we'll go with Minnesota, right? Let's break down that situation. I knew OKC was gonna win that series because they won 4-1. Minnesota had 1 dub in their home territory. They had 1 dub, and to be honest, Randall was a no-show. Nasri was a no-show in the whole series except that 1 game. Nasri was a no-show and couldn't find a bucket to give. He fought his hardest. And think about it, the man is 23 years old. So he doesn't feel bad, but he said in the press conference that he felt bad that he couldn't do it, that he couldn't get Mike Conley there. Now, out of respect, yeah, I mean, Mike Conley's been doing this for how long? Since, So I mean, yeah, like Ant Ant would feel bad because he didn't get Mike Conley there. Ant doesn't care if he loses or not because he's still young, so he has time to develop. But just know that man gonna be in the gym because he's a gym rat. So he's gonna improve his game better and come back and do the same and do better. You feel me? That's all. That's all that it's. Ah, that's all what's it about. Because no matter how much you fall, you pick yourself up, get back in the gym, and you work and improve your game, and improve your fundamentals, and you do better. Every year is a new year, a new play style, and you get it done. That's how a few teams are gonna have to do. Um, but that whole Minnesota and OKC thing, I thought that Minnesota will at least have some kind of opportunity to win this series and make it to the finals for the first time. But there are some things. Oh yeah, Gobert was a no show too. He was not there to show up at all. So I blame Gobert for that because how were you there when you faced us, my Golden State Warriors, when you faced the Warriors and Gobert was there, Randall, showed out, Ant showed out, Mike Conley showed out, everybody showed out. But if you really think about it, there was no defense, there was lack communication. Gobert didn't do any aggressive, offense or defense. He didn't do anything. So he was a no-show. And there were a lot of foul troubles when it came to guarding Shea. This is why I think OKC is hard to guard, is because he can get you into foul trouble no matter what. The difference between Westbrook's OKC years and Shea's OKC years, and it's actually kind of funny because I keep seeing it all over social media where the rim has a point of view where they see Westbrook just banging on a rim, like he just hitting the rim aggressively, just like he got beef with the rim. He slam dunking it, windmilling, like tomahawking it, bro. Like it's, and then you go from that to to seeing Shea making these ridiculous shots. They gave him a name. They gave him the free throw merchant, where he's always at the free throw line every single time. I mean, yeah, like that's part of the game, is to draw a foul, have a contact, foul. If it's an and one, it's and one. If it's not, it's a foul. But there are some calls that are not a foul, and the refs caught it anyway. But when I saw the first two games that they lost to OKC, I'm like, yeah, if this keeps going up, then I don't know. I don't. I honestly don't, because I don't believe that Minnesota can beat OKC if they're playing like this. And like he's getting locked down, not like locked down, but he's getting stopped. Like if you got a guy like Caruso and Lou Dort just taking turns playing defense on Gobert, on Nasri, on Randall, on Ant, on Mike Conley, it's a reason why OKC is second in defense and the number one in offense. The way they facilitate the ball and the way that they distribute on and off offense and defense. Now, I've seen the way how OKC is taking advantage over Minnesota. The reason why I say they're taking advantage over Minnesota is because they lack ball movement. They lack ball movement indefinitely. Because who has the ball more in their hands? Randall and Anthony Edwards. Now, that whole series, Mike Conley barely touches the ball. I mean, yeah, like they pass the ball around, but they don't pass the ball too often. Now, let's go through the OKC's like roster because you got Shea, Caruso, Lou Dort, Chet Holmgren, Hartenstein, Williams. And you got a few other, like they got a deep roster. Anybody on that bench can come off and give you 10, 15 points, bro. Instantly. Like, and on top of that, that whole team was healthy. Now, if you have a healthy team, everybody is there, everybody is healthy. You got a phenomenal head coach who did good coaching that whole series. That's why they're the number one team. If you stay healthy, do you know how long it took OKC to prep and really improve to be better? They can definitely win it all if they just play the game right. Now you're stepping into a new territory facing the Indiana Pacers, who is a low-tier team who is stepping in from the shadows that has been lurking around the whole season, somehow find their way up, and they're a healthy team too. So this is going to be a pure Game 7 series. Game 7 series. And the reason why I say that is because Indiana has a phenomenal defense too. They got Siakam, who's a really good big, Miles Turner, who's a really good big. But I just don't think that they can keep up with OKC. And they're gonna have a hard time trying to compete against OKC. Right? So this is why I think Minnesota had a hard time, because you couldn't keep up with them. I mean, Dante didn't show up either. That's another player that didn't show up. So, hold on. Let me go to. Matter of fact, I got you. 1 second. Hold on. Let me pull up the. Okay, so let's go to. All right, so we're gonna go from Game 1 stats all the way to Game 4 stats, right? So let's go to the. No, let's go to box score. No, where's the? Okay, look, all right, here we go. So this was, what was this, Game 1? This was Game 1, right? Yeah, this was Game 1. OKC won 114-88. Now, if we go all the way down, the top performances were Julius Randle and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Shai had 31, 5, and 9. Randle had 28, 8, and 1. If we go to the team comparison, if you go to field goals, OKC had a 50% and Minnesota had a 34.9% from the field goal. As far as 3-pointers, Minnesota had a 29.4%, while OKC had a 52.4%. They shot 11 threes out of 21. Minnesota shot 15 out of 51. Mind you, they took 51 attempts and only made 15 and had 29%. Free throws. This is where it becomes more of Shea, because Shea had more free throws this whole that whole round. They shot 21 out of 26 free throws and made 80.8%, and that's OKC. You got Minnesota shot 15 out of 21. Not bad. 71%. Assists. OKC had 21 assists in total. Minnesota in total had 18. Total rebounds. Not bad, because they were like a bit of neck to neck as far as total rebounds. Minnesota had 42. OKC had 46. Fast break points. Minnesota had 0 fast break points. OKC had 12. How many blocks? Minnesota has 7 and just game. So now, mind you, this isn't the whole series. This is just game 1. I'm going from game 1 all the way to the end of the series, which is game 4. So they had 7 blocks total in the game 1. OKC only had 3. Minnesota had 5 steals. OKC had 13 steals. This is why they're second in defense. Now this is what made them first in offense. You had 12 offensive rebounds. No, I'm sorry. No, so Minnesota had 12 offensive rebounds. OKC had 9 points off turnovers. Now, mind you, this is points off turnovers. OKC had 31 of them. Minnesota had 10. Defensive rebounds. OKC had 37. Minnesota had 30. Now, that is just all of game 1. Now, if we go to game 2, all of game 2, game performance. Anthony Edwards had 32, 9-6. Shea had 38, 3-8. They lost 118-103. Minnesota lost. If you go to team comparison, field goals, again, OKC had 50% from the field goal. Minnesota had 41.4%. They did a little better. 3-pointers. OKC shot 27.3%. They shot 9 out of 33. That was a bad shooting night. Minnesota hit 11 out of 39. They got 28.2%. Free throws. OKC and Minnesota did, they were like neck to neck, with that one. Minnesota shot 20 out of 26. They had 76.9%. OKC shot 19 out of 24. They had 79.2%. If you go to assists, Minnesota had 20. They did more better with that one in game 2. OKC had 30 assists. Total rebounds. Minnesota had 41. OKC had 42. Fast break points. They stepped it up a little bit. Minnesota had 9, but still OKC had 16 more. Steals. Minnesota had 2. OKC had 9. Blocks. OKC had 3. Again, Minnesota had the more blocks. They had 7. And this is game 2, by the way, y'all. Offensive rebounds. Minnesota had 13. OKC had 9. Defensive rebounds. Minnesota had 28. OKC had 33. Now, if you go to points off turnovers, OKC has 22. Minnesota has 10. Now, just off those 2 games, OKC had the better advantage. They had better points off of turnovers. They had defensive rebounds. They had better steals. They had better rebounding, better fast break points, better assists, free throws, and field goals. 3-pointers. I'm pretty sure they're gonna improve that in the finals against Pacers as far as offensive rebounding and what else they need to do better with 3-pointers too and free throws. So let's go to game 3. Now this is where they lost. They lost 143 to 101. OKC lost. Let's go to the performers. They held Shea with just 14 points, 2 rebounds, and 6 assists. Anthony Edwards had 30, 9 and 6. Let's go to the team comparison. OKC shot 35 out of 86, 40.7%, while Minnesota shot 55 out of 96, 57.3%. 3-pointers. Minnesota had a 50%, shot 20 out of 40. OKC was struggling from the 3, 14 out of 44, 31.8%. Let's go to free throws. Minnesota shot 13 out of 17, 76.5%. OKC shot 17 out of 19, 89.5%. Assists. OKC had 19. Minnesota had 30. They had way more assists in this game. Rebounds. Minnesota out-rebound OKC 50 to 31. Fast breaks. OKC still had the fast break points, 12, and Minnesota has 6. Let's go to steals. OKC had 5. Minnesota has 6. They were tied. Blocks. They had the same amount of blocks. OKC had 3. Minnesota had 3. Offensive rebounds. Minnesota always had the better rebounding because, that you got Gobert, Nas, and everybody else. Minnesota had 11. OKC had 5. Defensive rebounds. This time, Minnesota had 39. OKC had 26 points off turnovers. Minnesota had 1 point over OKC. Minnesota had 16. OKC had 15. Now, Minnesota did so much better in game 3. So much better in game 3. Oh no, so it's they stopped at game 5. So yeah, they did so much better in game 3. Better, better stats comparisons between you and OKC. Now let's move on to game 4. Game 4. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, 40 points, 9 rebounds, and 10 assists. Had a double-double. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, 23, 4, and 6. Let's go to team comparisons. Now, OKC won 128 to 126. They fell short. They could have beat OKC that time, but they fell short. Let's see why. OKC shot 48 out of 95 from the field goal, 50.5% from the that's their percentage. Minnesota shot 43 out of 84, 51.2%. OKC, they shot roughly the same percentages. OKC shot 16 out of 37, 43.2%. Minnesota, they shot 18 out of 41, which would give them 43.9%. Let's go to free throws. Minnesota shot 22 out of 28, which gives them 78.6%. OKC shot 16 out of 21, giving them 76.2%. Assists. OKC had 22. Minnesota had 30 assists in total. Total rebounds. OKC had 36 rebounds. Minnesota had 41. Fast break points. Minnesota had 13. OKC had 5 fast break points. Steals. OKC had 14. Minnesota had 8. Blocks. OKC had 5. Minnesota had 3. Offensive rebounds. This is where OKC stepped up the offensive rebounds, but they tied. OKC had 19 offensive rebounds. Minnesota had 19 offensive rebounds. Whew. Need some water. So, defensive rebounds. OKC had 17. Minnesota had 22. Points off of turnovers, Minnesota did better off of that. They had 25, OKC had 22. But lost 128 to 126. So that's 2 games that they did good in. That's 2 games, but OKC, came up top and beat Minnesota. So okay, Minnesota, you should have won that game. Let's go to game 5, and this was the last game. Minnesota lost 94 to 125. It was a blowout. I'll tell you why. Julius Randle had 24, 5 and 3. Shea had 34, 7 and 8. Field goals. OKC shot 46 out of 88, which would give them 52.3%. Minnesota 35 out of 85, 41.2%. 3-pointers, 12 3-pointers. Why am I freezing? 3-pointers. Minnesota shot 12 out of 34, 35.3%. That's the percentage of the 3-pointers. OKC shot 14 out of 35, which would give them 40%. So they shot more 3-pointers than Minnesota. Free throws. Minnesota 12 out of 15, 80%. OKC 18 out of 21, 85.7%. Assist. Minnesota 16, OKC 26. So OKC had even more of assists than Minnesota had. Total rebounds. Minnesota had 39, OKC had 46. Fast break points. OKC had 19, Minnesota had 11. Steals. OKC had 14 steals, Minnesota had 7. That's in total. Total blocks. Minnesota had 6. OKC had 8. Offensive rebounds. Minnesota had 8. OKC had 7. Defensive rebounds. Minnesota had 39. Minnesota had 31. OKC had 39. Points off of turnovers. OKC had 18. Minnesota had 19. And they lost 94 to 124. So I'm pretty sure people are gonna look at it as to why OKC has a high free throw percentage. It's because a lot of OKC players are getting to the line and making their shots. Shea probably has the most free throw shots of all time. Because he's the free throw merchant. That's what people are calling him now. The free throw merchant. I really think that Minnesota and OKC we're going to be a good run, but I was wrong. I started losing faith after game 1. And then I started to regain faith just a little bit when they won game 3? I think it was game 3 because I think OKC was at home. They lost 2 games at home. And then Minnesota won 1 game at their home. They lost the second one, and then they were back in OKC and then lost. Because that was game 5, I think, right? Yeah, so Minnesota lost 2 away games. And then Minnesota won 1 home game, lost a home game, went back to OKC and lost an away game. So they lost 1, 2, 3, 4. They lost 4 home and away games. And they only won 1 home game. I don't know what to expect from that. I mean, when you look at that series, people thinking like people are thinking that it's going to be a like we were hoping that Anthony Edwards would, you know, dethrone the MVP, the new MVP. Shout out to Shea Gillis Alexander. He got MVP this year. He also got finals. He also got conference finals MVP under his belt. He's looking to get a NBA Finals under his belt and a Finals MVP plus a Conference Finals MVP and the MVP trophy. This man Shea, man. That man got aura. That man got aura. All right. So I don't know. I was really hoping that Minnesota would win that game, but that just shows that OKC was a better team. If you heard me read off the team comparisons for all 5 games, it's why OKC was better. You know, they had better. I wouldn't say better. They had a little bit of a up and downs. That's why I said it was a lot of up and downs in these series. A lot of up and downs. There were a lot of things that I saw that I couldn't put my eye on it. I couldn't put my finger on it. You know, so it was more of I wouldn't say communication, but there was no ball movement. I tell you that, and there were some foul calls that weren't supposed to be called and that were called. It was the foul calls, the fouls. Those weren't necessary, but you couldn't. It's like when you're guarding Shea, I would just stay. I would just stay like I would stay away from him. Just overall, like I mean, you could try to guard him, but leave less body off of him. Like don't put your body on him because he's gonna be like, "Oh, you got a body? Elbow touch you." Oh, like he's gonna be dramatic. You know, he's gonna be dramatic. He's gonna find his way to get you in foul trouble and seal the deal. You know, so it's a hard time. Because I know if I was in the NBA and I was guarding Shea, I would lose my mind, bro. I would have got thrown out the game because I would have been like, bro, what is this, dog? I would have went off on the ref. I'm like, yo, you see this? But hey, man, he's the free throw merchant. He's always at the free throw line. You know, so it's like people were saying like, oh, Shea is not Westbrook. Shea will never be Westbrook. Shea is not the type of player that can be Westbrook. Shea is taller than Westbrook. Because what? Westbrook's like 6'3", 6'4", 6'2". How tall is Westbrook? How tall? I said bow, bro. How tall? Oh my gosh. Is so Westbrook is 6'4", and Shea is 6'6". Now, mind you, he's over 6 feet tall. He's taller than Westbrook. Right? Now, this is why I think Pacers are gonna have a hard time. Because I don't think anybody on Pacers team is over 6 foot, or at least. But the whole roster lineup is over 6 feet tall. Over 6 feet tall. Actually, no, let's do this. How many people? How many players are tall on the Pacers. So the Pacers roster includes 6'9" and 6'11" players. They have one player listed at 6'9" and one player at 6'11". Additionally, they are players who are 6'8" and 6'6". So let's go to the Indiana roster. So you got Tony Bradley, who is 6'11", Thomas Bryant, who is 6'10", Ray Dennis, who is 6'2", Tyrese Halliburton, who is 6'5", Isaiah Jackson, who is 6'9", Quentin Jackson, who is 6'5", James Johnson, who was 6'7", Benedict Mathurin, who was 6'5", T.J. McCollum, who was 6'1", Andrew Nembhard, who was 6'4", Aaron Nesmith, who was 6'6", Ben Shepherd, 6'6", Pascal Siakam, 6'8", Obi Toppin, 6'9", Miles Turner, 6'11", Jarace Walker, 6'7". Now let's look up OKC's roster. All right. Brandon Carlson. He's 7 foot tall. Alex Caruso, he's 6'5". Osman Deng, he's 6'9". Lou Dort, 6'4". Alex Dukas, who was 6'7". Adam Flagler, who was 6'3". Shea, 6'6". Isaiah Hartenstein, 7 foot. Chet, who is 7'1". Isaiah Joe, 6'3". Dylan Jones, 6'5". AJ Mitchell was 6'5". Nicola Toppin, who was 6'6". Casey Wallace, 6'3". Aaron Wiggins, 6'5". Jalen Williams, 6'5". Another Jalen Williams, 6'9". Kenrick Williams, 6'6". They have a deeper roster than Pacers do. They got a deeper roster. They got 2 7-footers. 2 7-footers. Even though Miles Turner is considered a 7-foot center, but they don't have 2 7-footers. You got one who's 7 foot and one who's 7'1". I don't know. So I think that would be a good series. But as much as I dislike this guy right here. Hold on. This guy right here, I dislike him only because, and I'm not trying to hate on him or anything like that, because he's a really cool guy. He's very chill. He's this man's bag is crazy, and he deserves the MVP. But bro, stop flopping. I mean, you like, duh, like you. He, actually no, I can't hate him. Yeah, I can't. I can't dislike him, bro. It's like he's just hard to guard. You just can't guard him. You can't stop him either, because if you try to stop him, he's just gonna, put up a foul, and it's over. All right, it's we are 3:58. Let's move on to the next topic. Let's go to Knicks and Pacers. Let's go to game 1. Knicks won the first game. No, Knicks lost the first game in overtime, 138 to 135. Let's see what happened there. Halliburton, 31, 4 and 11. Karl-Anthony Towns, 35, 12 and 2. Let's go to team comparison. This was the big first game of Indiana and Pacers. Field goals. Indiana shot 51 out of 100. 51 point. It was 51%. The New York Knicks, 48 out of 94, 51.1%. 3-pointers, Indiana shot 15 out of 37, 40.5%. The Knicks shot 11 out of 34, 32.4%. Free throws, Indiana shot 21 out of 28, 75%. The New York Knicks shot 28 out of 40, 70%. Assists, Indiana had 26, the Knicks had 24. Total rebounds, Indiana had 39, the Knicks had 46. Fast break points, Indiana had 13, the Knicks had 5. Steals, Indiana had 6, Knicks had 7. Blocks, Indiana had 3, Knicks had 8. Offensive rebounds, Indiana had 11, Knicks had 13. Defensive rebounds, Indiana had 28, Knicks had 33. Points off of rebounds, Knicks had 4, Indiana had 27. Oof. And that's just game one. I might need some more water. Woo! All right. Game two. Knicks lost 114 to 109, right? Yeah, 109. And that's 2 home games. They lost 2 home games in a row. Pascal Siakam, 39, 5 and 3. Jalen Brown. Jalen Brunson, 36, 3 and 11. Field goals. Indiana shot 43 out of 83, which would give them 51.8%. The Knicks, 40 out of 84, 47.6%. Free throws, Indiana, 15 out of 21, 71.4%. Knicks, 18 out of 21, 85.7%. 3-pointers, Indiana, 13 out of 30, 43.3%. Knicks, 11 out of 32, 34.4%. Free throws, Indiana shot 15 out of 21, 71.4%. The Knicks shot 18 out of 21, which would give them 85.7%. Indiana had 26 assists, Knicks had 18. Total rebounds, Indiana had 32, Knicks had 38. Fast breaks, Indiana had 14, the Knicks had 7. Steals, Indiana had 6. They were tied with steals. Indiana had 6, Knicks had 6. With blocks, Indiana had 3, Knicks had 4. Offensive rebounds, Indiana had 7, Knicks had 10. Defensive rebounds, Indiana had 25, Knicks had 28. Points off turnovers, Indiana had 17, Knicks had 12. So it seems like to me that the Knicks can keep up with the Pacers. They can. It's just the only thing that they definitely lacked more is fast break points. Just a little bit of offensive rebounds, rebounds in general, more of assists. 3-pointers should have been made more in that game. Free throws is fine. Field goals should have been more. Points out turnovers should have been tied, or at least way more than that. Let's go to game 3. Let's see the change in that. OKC won 106 to 100 by 6 points. Karl-Anthony Towns with 24 had a double-double with 24, 15, and 1. Halliburton had 24 and 7. Let's go to team comparisons. Field goals. Knicks shot 35 out of 78, 43.6%. Indiana shot 34 out of 77, 44.2%. 3-pointers. Knicks shot 11 out of 32, 34.4%. Indiana, terrible shooting from the three. Indiana shot 5 out of 25, 20%. Free throws. Knicks shot 27 for 30, 90%. Indiana shot 27 out of 33, 81.8%. Knicks, 13 assists. Indiana had 21. They should have did more than that. Total rebounds. Indiana had 38. Knicks had 37. That's better. Fast break points. Same thing, man. Knicks only had 2. Indiana had 16. You got to do better with the fast break points. Steals. Knicks had 7. Indiana had 9. That's not bad. Should have been more than that. Blocks. Knicks had 4. Indiana had 4. Tied up. Offensive rebounds. Knicks did better with the offensive rebounds. Knicks had 9. Indiana had 6. Defensive rebounds. Knicks had 28. Indiana had 32. Not bad. Should have did more. Points on turnovers. Got to do better with the points on turnovers. Knicks had 8. Indiana had 22. So they won this game, but the one thing they still need to fix is points on turnovers. Fast break points, assists, 3-pointers, field goals, and then that's it. Let's go on to, and they won 106-100. Let's go on to Game 4, which they lost 121-130. Karl-Anthony Towns, 22-14, had another double-double, 22, 14, and 2. Halliburton, 21, 6, and 13, another double-double. Team comparison. Knicks shot 41 out of 86, 47.7%. Indiana shot 46 out of 85, 54.1%. 3-pointers. The Knicks shot 9 out of 32, which is getting 20%. How does 3-pointers go down, bro? They only shot 9 threes out of 32. Crazy. Took 32 attempts, only shot 9. Indiana, 17 out of 33, 51.5%. That's the 3-pointers. Let's go to free throws. The Knicks shot 17 out of 26, 65.4%. Indiana shot 16 out of 19, 84.2%. Indiana had 30 assists. Knicks had 23 assists. You do better than that. They still do better than that. Total rebounds. Knicks, 41. Indiana, 36. Fast break points. Knicks had 10. Still didn't do better. Indiana, 25. Steals. Knicks had 10. Indiana had 10. Okay, cool. Blocks. Knicks had 6. Indiana had 9. Got to do better than blocks, bro. Offensive rebounds. This is where Knicks had more. Knicks had 13. Indiana had 6. Defensive rebounds. Same thing as last game. Knicks had 28. Indiana had 30. Points on turnovers. Same thing. And he had 34 points on turnovers. Knicks had 13. That's why you lost. Because of the points on turnovers. See, so hold on. This is what really matters. When you're playing a game and you're trying to move on into the playoffs, this is what matters. Points on turnovers matters. Offensive rebounds matter. Steals, blocks, fast break points, that matters. Rebounds, yeah, it matters. Free throws, you have to make those count. 3-pointers, you got to make them count, because if you're down 11, those threes can bump you up. So you have to get that going for you. 100% you do. Let's see if they did better in Game 5. Knicks won 111-94. That was 3-2. No, I think that was 2-2, right? Yeah, it was 3-2. 3-2. All right, team comparison. Knicks won 111-94 against the Pacers. Field goals. Indiana shot 30 out of 74, 40.5%. The Knicks shot 44 out of 89, 49.4%. Should have shot more than that. 3-pointers. Indiana shot 10 out of 30, 33.3%. That's not good. Knicks shot 8 out of 29, 27 out of 26. Free throws. Indiana shot 24 out of 29, 82.8%. That's better. No, that's for Indiana. My bad. Knicks shot 15 out of 22, 68.2%. Should have did better with that one. Indiana had 20 assists. Knicks had 22. That's better. Knicks had 45 rebounds total. Indiana had 40. That's better. Knicks had 15 fast break points. Indiana had 16. That's better. Steals. Indiana had 10. Knicks had 11. That's much better. Blocks. Knicks had 3 blocks. Indiana had 7. Got to do better with that one. Offensive rebounds. Indiana had 8. Knicks had 11. Defensive rebounds. Knicks had 34. India had 32. Points off turnovers. Indiana still has better points off turnovers because they had 20. Knicks had 15. See, the Knicks will improve better and better each game, but they have a lot to work on this offseason and going into the next season in 2026. They have this is our time to progress. Things to work on, things to manifest and move on, and hopefully to be better. Let's go to the last game. You got Knicks lost 109 to 114 against the Pacers. Let's move up. Pascal Siakam, 39, 5 and 3. Jalen Brunson, 36, 3 and 11. Team comparison. Indiana field goals. Indiana shot 43 out of 83, 51.8%. Knicks, 40 out of 84, 47.6%. 3-pointers. Indiana, 13 out of 30, 43.3%. Knicks, 11 out of 32, 34.4%. This is where things went downhill for the Knicks. Same thing for Pacers, but Knicks really went downhill. And I'm gonna keep you on down the list. And this is for some of the stats. Some of them. Like the 3-pointers. Knicks 11 out of 13. Pacers, well, they were roughly around the same. Free throws. Indiana shot 15 out of 21, 71.4%. Knicks shot 18 out of 21, 85.7%. Good free throws. Indiana had 26 assists. Knicks had 18. Should have did more than that. Knicks had 38 rebounds total. Indiana had 32 rebounds total. Fast breaks. Indiana had 14. Knicks had 7. Steals. Indiana had 6. The Knicks had 6. Blocks. Indiana had 3. Knicks had 4. Offensive rebounds. Indiana had 7. Knicks had 10. Defensive rebounds. Indiana had 25. Knicks had 28. Points off turnovers. Indiana had 17. Knicks had 12. See, this is why I say half of these stats, as far as team comparison, matters. And I'm going to say it again. Points on turnovers matters. Defensive rebounds, offensive rebounds matters. Steals matters. Because you know why? Steals can turn into fast breaks. To fast break points. Knicks only had 7 of those in game 5. While Indy had 14. Now, total rebounds, Knicks had more than that because they had 38, and he only had 32. Now, if you go to assists, Indy had 26 assists in total. And that's just the whole team. While Knicks only had 18 assists in total, Indy shot 13 out of 30, which give them roughly 43.3 Yeah, 43.3%, and Knicks had 34.4% shooting, 11 for 32. So I don't feel bad for the Knicks. I really don't, because they should have done better. But Knicks, you gotta do something, man. Hopefully this offseason you can think of something. Hopefully you can, because if you're gonna keep coming back into the playoff picture and your matchup is will end up being the Pacers, you got to find a way to beat them, because if you keep coming back and you repeat history again facing the Pacers, you're going to lose if you don't find an advantage, if you don't find a way to beat them. So focus all your time this off season to prove and be better and get better. Even if you have to do a couple, trades or whatever, do something. Because the only superstar on your team is Jalen Brunson. I mean, you got Cat, but Cat can't do all of them on his own. Jalen Brunson can't do it on his own. So, all right, I have some stuff in my notes I can pull up real quick, and then I want to get into my prediction for the of who will win, Pacers or OKC. Let's go into that. Oh, so my first note my first thing for today is Eastern Conference Finals MVP, which will go to Pascal Siakam. I was actually hoping that it would be Tyrese Halliburton. I honestly think it would be him. 100%. I thought it would be, but hey, all respect to Pascal Siakam for sealing the deal against the Knicks. He won the deal off. And then Shea, on the other hand, ended up getting the same thing. This is very intriguing. This was 2 days ago. This is from ESPN. This is about Zion, right? This is about Zion Williamson. I know, nobody's ever heard of this man since he's been drafted. Nobody's ever spoke about this man since the incident with this other female that he was dealing with just like a few years ago. But this came out 2 days ago. So Zion Williamson is sued over allegations of abuse. A woman has accused Williamson of rape in addition of sexual, physical, emotional, and financial abuse over the span of a multiple-year relationship, according to a lawsuit filed in Los Angeles Superior Court on Thursday. We take these allegations with utmost seriousness, and we unequivocally deny them. The allegations contained in the complaint are categorically false and reckless. This appears to be an attempt to exploit a professional athlete driven by financial motive rather than any legitimate grievance. While these allegations are false, we recognize the seriousness of the claims and welcome the opportunity to prove the truth in court. We are confident that the legal process will expose the truth and fully Vindicate Mr. Williamson. Zion Williamson attorneys at Barriso, Usden, Cooperman, Freeman, and Sarver, LLC. So I haven't heard anything about this, but this got to be the second time Williamson. I'm sorry, this got to be the second time Zion has ever been in this kind of situation already before. Because wait a minute, I want to know if that's the same chick that he was talking to before. I want to know if it is, because if it is the same chick, the same girl that he was messing around with, then I mean I don't know, but that's crazy, man. But if you're doing false, if you're doing false allegations, because it's like this is serious, and we're talking about Zion's career. Like we're talking about a player who is in the NBA that has so much money, and then this is an issue right here. So I pray that everything gets dropped, and I pray Zion, fights through and gets better, bro. But Zion, stay away from these women, bro. Just stay away, dog. There's no point in you just be like Kevin Durant. The only thing he's focused on is basketball. Just be like him. I've seen this too. This was just 19 hours ago. ESPN's Kevin Pelton sees the Bulls as a landing spot for Jonathan Kuminga. The Bulls could try to put together a sign and trade, perhaps sending Nikola Vucevic to the Warriors and placing Kuminga in a role similar to the one DeMar DeRozan once played in, the Windy City. Sending him to Chicago, ooh, I feel like that'd be a good fit for Kuminga too. Like if ESPN's Kevin if ESPN's Kevin Pelton, if he can see Kuminga being a good fit for Chicago, go for it. Go for it. I will take Nikola Vucevic. I will take him. Hey, as long as we can get a big that can score, defend, and rebound, as long as we can get some kind of big, I'm all for it. I would gladly, if we had somebody like Giannis, Nikola Vucevic, Brook Lopez, or just somebody. Somebody give us a big. We need somebody. But if that trade ever does happening, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. Really am. But I would love for Kuminga to stay. He's a good player off the bench. I love him. Hopefully he stays. Another trade that I think would I don't think this will happen, but I'm gonna just put it out there. This is from Basketball Forever. This blockbuster trade proposal from Basketball Forever sends Trae Young to Miami, where he joined forces with Tyler Hero to form a dynamic backcourt duo. Miami would receive Trae Young. Atlanta Hawks would receive Terry Rozier, Duncan Robinson, Jaime Jaquez, Nikola Jovic. You got Pelle Larson, and then Atlanta would get a 2025 first round pick and a 2030 first round pick. I don't think that would happen. I mean, I honestly don't think that would happen. I don't, but we'll see how it goes. We'll see how that goes. But if that does happen, Trae Young going to, well, I mean, Trae Young should get out of Atlanta because he ain't gonna win in Atlanta anyways. He not. He can get to a play in and then lose, but he's not gonna make it further. So he needs to go to a different team. He needs to go to a different team, and I think that he would be phenomenal with that team. So, but I think the most exciting moment for me is this off season and the finals. Finals is top tier. I feel like this would be the best finals too. Um, to see OKC winning a ring for the first time, getting a banner up there, and yeah. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Shea will be the second Canadian player to win a ring, and no, the third. No, the second because Pascal Siakam is Jamaican, right? What is Pascal Siakam's ethnicity? What is he is? He's African. He's African. Never mind. So yeah, so um, Shea would be the second Canadian to win a ring behind Jamal Murray because Murray got a ring. He's a Canadian too. So yeah, so Shea would be the second Canadian to win one, and wouldn't he be the first player in one season to get a Finals MVP, to get a Conference Finals MVP, to get a Finals MVP, and to become the second player to get a ring as a Canadian? I mean, he did that in one. He did that in one season. He did that all in one season. And then if Pacers win, then we can't call him overrated anymore. We can't, yeah, because people were chanting overrated to Halliburton. So if Halliburton wins, he will be no longer overrated. He will have a ring under his belt and a Finals MVP. If he gets Finals MVP, which I know he's not, but he'll still have a ring under his belt. Honestly, I don't care who wins, but I would love to see Shea win it. I would love to see Shea win. I would love to see that. Everybody got Shea winning this whole series. So I have Thunder winning in 6 or 7. I have them winning 6 or 7 because I know it's going to be a Game 7 series, but I'm saying 6 or 7. If I wanted Knicks to win, I'm sorry. If I wanted the Pacers to win, then it would be 6 or 7 again. Like the same thing for the Pacers, 6 or 7, or 7 all the way. OKC 6 or 7 or 7 all the way. You know, simple. But I'm trying to figure out how am I going to settle this through as far as the WNBA content. Hopefully, I can fit that in somewhere. I'm gonna try to pick a day. I'll probably say like Wednesday. I'll do like a recording video for the WNBA. I'll do like a small video in the mornings. I will do that in the morning. On Wednesdays, I'll do the WNBA on Wednesdays. And then once college starts up again, I will do college on. Let's do Thursday. So college is Thursday. The WNBA is on Wednesday. And the NBA will probably be roughly on Mondays, sometimes Mondays, but it's always gonna be Sundays. It was Saturdays, but it was moved to Sunday due to my co-host, his time period or whenever he's available. But he's busy now. He was supposed to come on, but he's at a family event. My other co-host, he got tied up. But he will be back on tomorrow. I will do a video with him tomorrow. Hopefully, actually no, not tomorrow because I'm doing streaming tomorrow. Oh, guys, before I go, because I'm gonna start the music right now. All right, so before I go, I want to give a few shout outs, right? Number one, go check out my Pops football podcast. His is the Post Podium Podcast, home of All Truth No Sodium. Please check my Pops podcast out. Strictly about the Bills. He may, fit in some other teams, but he only talks about the Bills. He does have links for merch, clothing brands. He has that out already. He has a link for it. If you want a Post Podium hoodie, t-shirt, or whatever, come on the show tomorrow at 6:30, maybe. I don't know, like 6 or 5, whatever time it starts. But search up Post Podium Podcast, subscribe to that channel, and show some love. I am the producer. I'm the producer of that show, so I monitor all the cameras and everything, and then show some love. And then also I have a gaming channel for YouTube. It is Babyface Assassin on YouTube, and for Twitch I just started streaming. My schedule for streaming is Saturdays at 12 noon. It goes 3 hours. I'm gonna push the time to 4 or 5 hours. No. I'm gonna do a 4-hour live stream for The Last of Us gameplay. But I'm gonna switch it up. So it's gonna be Saturday and Monday. So it's gonna be Monday and Saturday. I'm gonna be doing live streaming on Twitch for gaming. And then so please, on Twitch is Babyface Assassin 21 on Twitch, and it's Babyface Assassin on YouTube. Once I get everything fixed up, I can start doing content on YouTube for gaming, horror games, action games. I already got a list of games I'm going to be playing, so stay tuned to that. And then hopefully I can get my co-host back on next Sunday. Hopefully eventually. But stay tuned for Wednesday. I will be doing my first content for the WNBA. Stay tuned for that one. And then we'll see how that goes. If you guys like the WNBA videos that I will be making, let me know in the comments. I will make more of those. If you guys want to see some college basketball for the girls and men's, I will do that on Thursdays when that starts back up for the next season. And then, other than that, stay tuned. I will let you guys know on social media, on Facebook and Instagram. Until then, have a great Sunday. Chill, whatever, play the game, whatever. Enjoy. But I gotta wrap it up. But it's been the Bad Switching for Knowledge. I'm your host, Aramis. Love y'all. And we out this joint. Peace.